Why wouldn't we want to get rid of the Department of Education? I mean, what does it actually provide us? What do we get? What's the win? I'm asking. What is the win in having the Department of Education?
Do you know for sure he's definitely going to abolish the Department of Education?
He's been very clear about that. I mean, he couldn't be any more clear when he said he wants me to put myself out of a job.
How did you feel about that?
But, well, I think there is definitely a role for education to make sure that as we move education back to the states, that we are providing the tools for the governors, for the teachers, that we can provide them with research to show best practices. Because the president's goal really is to see our scores go up. You know, when 70%, of our students cannot read with proficiency, I mean, that's just incredibly difficult to swallow. And he's just not going to accept it.
Especially when the schools are focused so much on other things like DEI and telling our children they can transition. I want my child to learn about math and science and reading.
I think most people feel like Ainsley Earhart. That was her over there at Fox News speaking to Linda McMahon. Me, I'm Tony Katz, neither Ainsley nor Linda, although I know I could never even try. Good to be with you. The phone number 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669, 833-GOT-TONY. So Trump was going to put out the executive order, and it was going to be like, we are ending the Department of Education. And then it was, did I say I was going to end the Department of Education? What I meant, mein Kinder, was let's just take a review and see what we're looking at. You heard a little bit of that from Linda McMahon here. As a matter of just sheer basic numbers, when we take a look at results, the way we test these things, we measure these things. Kids are not as smart as they were 20 years ago, and they're not as smart as they were 20 years before that, etc. Education has gone down. Now, my kids did public education. One of them still does. I'm super happy. I say this as clear as day. I am super happy. Does that mean I should simply say, well, I guess public education works, the Department of Education works, and we should just leave it there? The answer is, of course not.
Because if you look at the stats, we're well below in all of these. And President Trump says we spend more money than any other country, yet we're one of the lowest.
Absolutely. And that's intolerable. So we really have to make sure that our teachers are focused on teaching basics. Let's get back to the science of reading. Let's teach it phonetically. We've seen great results in Louisiana, Mississippi, other states that have put programs in place. Their scores come up. They're
Iowa,
rising.
Indiana,
yes.
The president was talking about.
Yeah.
So if you give this money back to the states, how will you be able to determine what they're teaching, curriculum?
The Department of Education does not set curriculum.
What does the department do?
The department actually does a lot of research. We see a lot of programs. We make sure that funds are getting into the states that are by statute.
And by putting the funds into the states, they can make mandates. It is true that the Department of Education is not actually setting the curriculum requirements, but by sending our money to DC and then having it lorded over us, hung over us, a carrot and stick situation, they are able to provide incentive. Feel the air quotes. You can just feel it. You just feel it washing over you. And I got to admit, it feels oogie. Super duper oogie. There is no value to this institution except to those people who want the institution to exist. We have gone over this before, and it's worthy of mentioning again. If we need to keep the Department of Education, which has only been around for 44 years, and we need to keep the Department of Education because, my gosh, we have to have the Department of Education. Well, is that the reason to keep something? If the Department of Education is not based solely and exclusively on furthering the educational opportunities of the kids of America and providing for them the skill sets that will allow them to thrive in society as adults. What's its purpose? Indoctrination, narrative, other goals outside of reading, writing, and arithmetic? Allow me to state clearly, any goal outside of reading, writing, arithmetic is the wrong goal. Because at that moment, if you are engaged in this idea of placing a morality out there, the school is supposed to do blank, and you can fill in that blank with whatever you want. That's the job of the parent. And the minute the education system is trying to usurp the role of the parent and parental responsibility, that is a breakdown of society. And my proof of that is everything you can see with your freaking eyes. The breakdown occurs when government tries to take the role of the parent, diminishes the role of the parent, ends the role of the parent, forbids the role of the parent, and decides that the parent has no value. And to any extent that the Department of Education has been involved in that, that in and of itself is reason enough to end it. This idea of let us laud the teacher, guys, teachers matter, and good teachers matter, and we want them. And I have argued in my state, and I would argue it for your state. Let's hire teachers and let's pay them more than anywhere else. So I've argued this for my state, for Indiana. I think we should pay teachers more in Indiana than any other state in the union. We should pay the very, very top for teachers, as long as we can fire the bad ones. The union will then say, well, you can't fire these people. They're protected by the union. And that's when you know that the fix is in and education is not about the student and the union must be broken and the Department of Education must be ended. These are the facts. If it exists for the narrative and not for the education of the student, the Department of Education has to go, the teachers union has to go. If the teachers union only exists to bring more money to the teacher, but refuses to remove the teachers who they know are bad, we want it with cops and we want it with teachers. It's not an easy job. We should respect the job, but they know who the bad cops are. They know who the bad teachers are. Throw them out on there. You know what? Why are we keeping them? What value do they bring us? And the answer is none. And they bring the kids less value. But if the job is to protect them, then there is no purpose to them because the purpose is about educating students, at least with the teachers union, not so much with the police union. That's a different purpose. But if they want to keep bad cops, don't be surprised when people look at you and say, we don't trust you, we don't like you, we got a problem with you. The Department of Education is not focused on an educational result or providing an educational result. There is no point in it. And if you then want to argue, well, they don't set curriculum, yes, but they do cost us billions of dollars a year to no result. So I am back to my original statement. What's the point? Does the institution exist for the sake of the institution or for the purpose that we put to it? If the job of the Department of Education is to make our kids smarter, they have failed. And if the job of the Department of Education is to ensure we have a Department of Education, then screw them, they gotta go.